Please, Zach. Thanks. So, Karan, let's talk about yourself. How would you like to explain yourself? Say, if you to tell some.
Sir, I'm Karan Seth. I belong to Grady in Jharkhand. I have completed my schooling from Grady and then I did my college from Grady. And after completing my college, I moved to Delhi for doing PG diploma in radio and television journalism from Indian Institute of Mass Communication. Thereafter, for a brief period, I worked at Asians. And then currently, I'm working at Audi as public relations officer.
Great. So, you studied in Dayanand Anglo-Vedic School.
Yes.
What is DA? Who started it? And what is the purpose of DA society?
Sir, after like the demise of Swami Dayanand, it was started by Lala Hansraj. And the purpose was to spread Vedic education among the youth in India. And it was started in the beginning as a challenge to like a traditional English education and to mix up English education as well as Vedic education. That's why it's called as Anglo-Vedic school.
Good. You have been writing blogs on international affairs, etc. You have been in media. When you were in IMC, who was the director there?
Sir Dwivedi sir, was Sanjay Dwivedi sir. Mr. Sanjay Dwivedi was.
Okay. So you have taken PSIR as your subject.
Yes.
So last 1 week, if I was to take, what have been the major developments in the world?
So the biggest development which is going on is the negotiations between Ukraine and Russia, which is being led by Trump administration. Apart from it, the Prime Minister Modi visited 3 West Asian and African countries, and India signed a trade deal with Oman. And apart from it, sir, in Bangladesh, situations are again deteriorating, and the Pakistan has like expelled the refugees which were there in the camps, the Afghan refugees, and other things. Right?
Oh, these are good enough now. You tell me. You told me about the Russia-Ukraine war. So what is the negotiation? What is the negotiated settlement? So what is the ingredients of this Trump peace deal which Trump has tried to fix as far as this Russia-Ukraine conflict is there? Can you give some main point? I'm not trying to say that you need to tell me, but what are the main suggestions which Trump has made as far as this peace deal is concerned?
Yes. So first of all, like this deal is not finalized and it is still in the negotiation stage. And the negotiating part which Trump's want is the ceding of territory to Ukraine, to Russia by Ukraine. And he wants the ground realities to come on paper. Then the point till where Russia is holding its power, Russia should get till that point. And apart from it, Trump wants Europe to give security guarantees to Ukraine. And it also wants limiting the size of the Ukrainian army.
What about visit? You talked about Prime Minister's visit to 3 countries. Which are those 3 countries?
Sir, Ethiopia, Oman, and Jordan are the 3 countries where the Prime Minister visited.
So, what is the pact that we have signed with the Oman?
Sir, comprehensive economic partnership agreement we have signed.
Great. So that gives us access to.
Sir,
what is the advantage of that?
Sir, like tariff-free access to Oman's market, and that will boost our exports. And one other advantage which we are seeing is that Oman already has an FTA with US. So it might result in an indirect route to Indian products to US so that we can get tariff-free access to US as well.
What about the reverse also? It also will provide US. So for that particular reasons, we have actually protected certain product lines.
Yes.
Which are this? You have any one of them?
Sir, in general, we protect the agriculture sector in most of the FTAs.
Okay. Dairy also has been protected like this. Okay. You talked about Bangladesh.
Yes.
So what happened in Bangladesh?
So recently, the interim government in Bangladesh announced that elections will be held in February. And after that, campaignings for the elections started. And in the campaigning, one of the student leaders, Hadi, was assassinated by some of the shooters. And since Hadi was a hardliner against the Indian government. So his supporters believe that India was involved in his killing, and now anti-India protests have again erupted in Bangladesh.
Okay. So, why this turbulence in Bangladesh? What has been happening? If you could recall something, what all has happened in Bangladesh in last 1 or 2 years?
So in Bangladesh, it was like believed that the regime of Sheikh Hasina was dictatorial in nature, and there were protests against human rights violation by the government of Sheikh Hasina. And on 5th of August 2024, she was forced to leave the country. And after that, India has given refuge to Sheikh Hasina. And thereafter, an interim government was established in Bangladesh, and that is taking forward the country. And recently, as I said, elections have been announced, and the protest was a student-led protest, and the leader was Hadi, who has recently been killed.
Okay, so the elections that have been announced, how do you think these elections would be? Would they result in peace? Is it a free and likely to be a free elections? Will there be a level playing field for all parties to participate?
So the current situation where violence has again erupted, it seems like it's very tough to conduct free and fair elections in February itself. And apart from it, sir, one of the major parties, which was led by Sheikh Hasina, Awami League, has not been has been excluded from the election. It has been banned. And also, sir, BNP leader Shri Ziaur Rahman's BNP leader is also in critical condition. She also is unwell, and so it is very tough to believe that the elections will be free and fair.
Okay. So Khaleda Zia,
Yes, sir.
she is quite critical, and her son,
Yes.
Tariq Zia, is in UK and he's not being allowed to come back. See, you hail from Jharkhand.
Yes.
And Jharkhand was separated from Bihar after a long drawn movement which said Jharkhand and a unified Bihar was not getting sustenance or was developing according to its resources. And Jharkhand is a very mineral rich state, one of the few places where industrialization began right early. Jamshedpur and all were actually an industrial hub. So, how has Jharkhand's journey been since its separation from Bihar?
So Jharkhand separated after a long struggle on 15th of November 2000 from Bihar. And after its separation, the biggest problem which Jharkhand faced was political instability. There were quick regime changes in Jharkhand, and even the president's rule was also imposed in Jharkhand 4 5 times. And after that, sir, recently, after 2014, Jharkhand has seen stable governments, and the development is taking place, and the GSDP of the state is also above 10 as of now, and the political stability is pushing the development in the region, and some of the regions of Jharkhand like Ranchi are also promoting tourism as well as becoming an educational hub where IIM and universities like NLU are being established.
Jharkhand is actually the mineral hub of India.
Yes.
So, which are the major minerals which are actually produced in Jharkhand?
So coal is the biggest mineral which is produced in Jharkhand. Apart from that, sir, mica, bauxite, and uranium is also present in Jadavpur and Jharkhand.
You talked of uranium.
Yes.
Recently, uranium was in news for something very adverse as far as Delhi is concerned. Did you read something about uranium and Delhi?
So the groundwater in Delhi has some uranium in it.
Okay. Since you talked about minerals,
Yes.
there have been recently the issue of critical mineral supply chain problems and rare earths.
Yes.
Can you just explain what is the problem and why is it?
So the critical minerals and rare earths are those whose extradition and purification is tough, and not all the countries hold the technologies to purify them. And currently, 90% of the supply chain of rare earth elements are being held by China, and China is using it as a weapon. Kind of weapon when it comes to negotiations. Like China once stopped with the supply of graphite to Japan, which created problems in its renewable energy sector and the batteries sector. And now India wants self-sufficiency in renewable rare earth elements, and that's why India has also launched some of the projects.
Okay. Why does China have that sort of a control over critical minerals?
So because though it is it has the 30% of the world's resources are situated in China. But since technology is lacking in other countries, so China has 90% control over the current supply of
Processing is
PSC process.
okay.
Right. So you had a journey from Kiridi to Delhi and you have post-graduated in IIMC. So being a postgraduate of mass communication, how does that help you when you join the civil services?
Sir, in any service, communication is a big part. And being my experience and knowledge of communication, even if I get into any of the services, I'll be the communicator for that service.
And why do you want to join the civil services?
So the biggest factor is the diversity of work. And the second thing is that I can change my aspirations into realities. Like if I want to serve someone as of now, I can raise this issue being a journalist, but being someone at the ground, I can implement the issues.
Okay, so tell me, if you join the civil services and hopefully you will, what does, in your understanding, minimum government and maximum governance mean, especially on the ground, not just as a slogan, but how do you see this unfolding on the ground? You've come from Giridi, you must have seen a lot of ground realities.
Yes, sir.
Now you're in Delhi, step away from joining the civil services, hopefully. How do you define this?
So if I talk about minimum government and maximum governance, the first thing is that too much intervention from the government officials should be removed. And apart from it's the number of government officials should also be limited, so that there should not be too much of red tapeism when it comes to the governance of the country.
You mean we should reduce the number of bureaucrats, skilled people in the functioning of governance? We're such a wide country with huge challenges. A lot of people will say that, probably we have less number of people to govern this country, and therefore there should be a larger number of skilled people.
Yes. So what I believe is that on the ground, the number is less. Like the DM of a district is too much burdened with work. But if we see in the secretariat, some reports have suggested that there are 16 levels of approvals in the secretariat, and that has resulted in too much of red tapeism. So this can be reduced, sir, and more officers can be posted on the ground.
Are you aware of the reforms going on in the civil services?
Yes, sir. Training of civil servants through Mission Karma Yogi is also going on. And apart from it, sir, we are like restructuring the police in India. And these are the reforms among us.
In your understanding, and you've been seeing much of the things from Delhi, often it is said that bureaucracy is resistant to change.
Yes.
What is your view on this?
Sir, it's a very hard.
Resistant to change in all walks of life. We're all initially very resistant to change.
Yes.
Is change welcome? What levels of changes should it be? Incremental changes, radical changes? How do you foresee this?
So the first thing is that bureaucracy is often involved in following the laws. And since laws are always stricter and hard-line, so it's tough for the bureaucracy to go against the law or to change in a rapid manner. But slow changes can be introduced. And so the changes should be from top-down approach. Like the bureaucrat at the ground, it is tough for him to change because he might get apprehensions from the CS. So if the changes are introduced top-down, which are being introduced, then it can be a reality on the ground.
Lacks apply for civil services. And this is a very general question asked is, why do you want to join the civil services? And an instigating question is to say it's all about power and glamour, glory, etc. Right? Obviously, it is not. I mean, you would defend it very strongly.
Yes.
What is two values that you would bring into the service when you joined?
So one thing which I introduced to in my character and which I have is the power of listening with patience. If I'm on the ground as a civil servant, first of all, I should listen to the problems of the people which they are facing. And the second thing which I'd like to be is solution oriented. I think I should not get entangled in the laws, but I look for solutions in the established laws only.
What about empathy?
Yes. So empathy is a very important value in the civil services, because if someone is not empathetic, he can't even listen patiently, as I say, and he won't be able to find solutions ever.
Have you any knowledge about the history of civil services, how it evolved in India from the British time? Do you have some understanding? Are you aware of it? The rule books, for example, of 1893.
I'm not aware of the rule books, but if I say, then initially the recruitment was through the British process from London, and then Public Service Commissions was established in India to select the officers of the Indian Police and Indian Civil Services, ICS officers. And after independence, we converted this post to IAS and IPS.
Yeah, that's right. Because what you say, no, the interaction with the public, that's what you're the public servant,
Yes.
right? So that's very important. And your interaction, your engagement with the public is very important. And therefore, I think, studying mass communication is very effective as a very important skill that you have acquired. And in fact, even the very formation of the civil services was precisely based on, during Warren Hastings' time and then Lord Cornwallis, they all developed this system of interaction with the public, giving time and space to the public. So that's very important. In fact, Cornwallis had established what is called the box in which the public would write their complaint. If they don't wanted to show themselves, they'll just drop a small note saying, these are the issues. So the engagement with the public becomes very, very important. So sometimes you come across wide number of challenges. It's a very challenging job. And sometimes you have to deal with your seniors.
Yes.
And sometimes you might not agree with your senior, right? So if it comes to a matter of, say, honesty, and you are very firm on this value,
Yes.
and how would you deal with your senior who wants you to do something very different?
So first of all, I'll ensure that my senior is also completely aware of the laws and the repercussions of the decision. And apart from it, sir, if he's unable, he's ready to listen, then I'll first of all explain him my side of the point, that what are the reasons why I want to choose this decision over that. And apart from it, sir, if they have constantly not agreeing to me, then I'll ask him to give orders in writing if there are any.
That's interesting. Right. Tell me something. What are your hobbies? Have you been reading something of late?
Recently, sir, I have not read something apart from the newspapers or magazines.
Which newspapers do you read?
I read the Hindu.
Right. Why?
So actually, that is for the civil services preparation, and the explainers I found a very relevant to my interests.
Is that precisely why you read newspapers? Just because it helps you to prepare for civil services?
No, sir. Being a journalist, I also want to be aware of the happenings on the ground. And sir, as I said, that why specifically I do read the Hindu. That is the reason for reading the Hindu and not reading the newspaper.
I think they also have a good space to explain a lot of things that is happening. Other newspapers are bound by certain constraints in space. So there are good 2 pages of editorial and opinions. That's it. What about the Indian Express? It also has a lot of, explain things about certain things that civil services aspirants are reading as well. Is it? Right. When did you pass the IIMC, and was it in print or was it visual?
Sir, radio and television exam.
All right.
In 2023, 2023 was the batch.
So have you had any experience in radio communication?
Not directly in radio communication as part of projects in colleges. And after that, sir, I worked as a proofreader in shorts, where my work was checking the facts, grammar, and spelling of the text, which in shorts publishes.
Are you aware of All India Radio and its important role from time to time in nation building?
Yes, sir. All India Radio has been a pillar during the freedom struggle as well. Freedom fighters like Usha Mehta used radio to spread awareness among the common people.
So interesting. Hello, over to you. Ramli, like to ask?
I'm still looking. Okay. So we were looking at some of these issues. I found your choices a little interesting. See, you have differences between police. So do you think the police in Assam, Meghalaya is better than that in Sikkim? And bureaucratic appointment in Sikkim is better than Assam, Meghalaya?
So you are talking about the choice.
Choice of, yes, Cadre.
So in that, sir, I think there has been some what seniors have suggested me. This is based on that, and apart from it, sir, one thing which is the major cause of change is that in policing, I put the cadres above where the commissionerate system is there.
Okay. That's a very sensible thing, that putting commissionerate system wielding greater power. But what is even more important is that the choice of services. You have Group B services even before Group A services. So Danix, both police and administrative services have been ranked much higher than many Group A services. Why is that?
So the reason behind that is, as I said, that I want to be on the ground and serve the people, and that is the motivation. And apart from it, sir, I'm already in a service which is like in a government service where I'm working from the office, and I'm seeing the constraints of working from the office, and that's why I want to join the service, which is giving me space on the ground.
If you said space in the ground, how does this Indian postal services or Indian railway management services doesn't give you space to meet people and to be on the ground? You'll probably go on the ground only.
Sir, I think IRMS is about many services in my list, IRMS traffic. And regarding Indian Postal Services, sir, that I'm not aware where I put that, because I think when I was selecting the services, when I put the Group E services at number 9 or 10, then it was almost sure that I won't get the Group A services after that, because I'll get allotted a Group B service. So I didn't pay much heed on the Group A services after that.
But don't you think it will be counterproductive? Supposing, I agree, initially you may say that I'll be on the ground, but as you graduate, the Group A services will come into the center and they'll all become joint secretaries, etc. And you'll still keep languishing at some level. Have you given a serious thought to this serious issue?
So we are choosing Group B services over Group A services.
Yeah, that's a very serious issue, actually. That's what I'm trying to say. Yes, see, the ranking in which they have been listed is generally the way the government perceives it. And of course, individual choices may vary. And for somebody who writes blog on international events, giving IFS after IPS also you have to have some justification for that also.
So regarding that, what I say is that there are personal reasons for not moving out of the country.
Okay.
Yes. And serving, I have interest in international relations, but I'm not interested in moving out of the country to serve the country.
Okay, last question from my side before I ask my co-panelists to take on. You studied in DA.
Yes.
DAB belongs to Arya Samaj, whatever it is. What are the basic principles of Arya Samaj? Why was Arya Samaj created? What is the basic thrust of Arya Samaj?
Sir, as far as I am aware, Arya Samaj was created to promote Hinduism, but also keeping in view that the Vedic realities and the Vedic system, which has been changed or changed negatively. So, to remove those changes as well and follow the proper Vedic system, Arya Samaj was created.
Any major achievements of Arya Samaj, if you would like to say? I'm not trying to say that. Do you think Arya Samaj achieved anything significant? Has there been a major contribution in any field?
Sir, apart from education, I am not able to recall the achievements of Arya Samaj.
You see, in the field of untouchability, so I think Arya Samaj was one of the first major organizations. Of course, there were a lot of thinkers, but as an organized way, the one who actually fought against untouchability was all Jagjeevan Ram, etc. They all studied in Arya Samaj hostels, and Arya Samaj things to actually come up. So that was one. And the second was, I think, Arya Samaj was the first organization which brought reverse proselytization. The so-called Shuddhi movement started from Arya Samaj. Till then, it was not there. In Hinduism, it was considered that you cannot become a Hindu. You are born a Hindu, and that's all was the thing. So those were some. Anyway, over to you. Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sorry, I'll come in the middle of your interview. But you clearly have an interest in international relations. So let me ask you, what do you think is India's position in the neighborhood right now?
Ma'am, India's position in the neighborhood is quite critical, I'd say, because the Indian neighborhood is facing a lot of challenges. And if I start from Pakistan, then in Pakistan, the army is getting constitutional control over the country, where the field marshal has been promoted to the chief of defense staff, and the powers of the Supreme Court has also been curtailed by creating a federal court. And after Pakistan, if I move to Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, then India, though it is engaging with Afghanistan, but there is no constitutional government in Afghanistan. So it is raising questions of Indian democracy as well, though we are like following a realistic model of engagement. And if I move to Sri Lanka, then in Sri Lanka, the cyclone Vitwa has recently created too much destruction, but India is like really giving a helping hand to Sri Lanka. After that, Bangladesh, as we are aware, there are student protests specifically targeting India in Bangladesh. And then in Nepal also, recently again we heard that Genjis are again starting protesting, and these are the conditions where Indian government is facing a lot of challenges. But India is still like following some kind of non-reciprocity, as we can see in Sri Lanka, while dealing with the neighbors, because India is the like kind of big brother in the region. So India should like be selfless and mm,
But you use the word big brother. Do you think that maybe would be provocative to other countries around us?
ma'am, the relative size of India is definitely the cause of concern, because the other countries are relatively too smaller when it comes to India, and that is why they seek India as an existential threat to their country.
What do you think is the role of the media now that we see that population is again setting off? What do you think is the role of the new media?
Ma'am, if I talk the role of Indian media, then Indian media should like give, first of all, Indian media should give both sides of the story, and Indian media should avoid provocating the people in India as well, because if we give one-sided story about the situation in Bangladesh and provocate the people in India itself, then it will be very tough to create harmony between the countries. And first of all, Indian media should like follow on like keeping the Indian citizens calm, and then the focus should move to Bangladesh.
Thank you, Karan. Well done.